Hello guys, and welcome back to the Russian Football News Predictions League. Russian Premier League is back, hurrah! 3 months without domestic league football. It's been a testing period, as it always is for us Russian football fans, but never fear, it is back. So, guys, without further ado, I'm just going to introduce the idea of the Predictions League if you're watching this and you haven't participated before. So it's really simple. Below this video, you should be seeing this on Facebook. Below this, comment with your scoreline predictions for all 8 Russian Premier League games this weekend. And that's all you have to do. What happens is, we give you a point if you predict the correct result, but not the perfectly correct scoreline. But if you get the exact scoreline, we give you 3 points. And of course, if you predict the wrong result, you get 0. So I'm going to start off with the first game as an example. Now, Rostov against Tomsk. This game, pardon me, I think is fairly easy to predict because Tomsk are rock bottom of the table. They are in dire form anyway, and they've offloaded 16 of their senior players. They've replaced them with only 8 or 9 from the youth team, and Rostov, on the other hand, they've been in the Champions League. They've beaten Bayern Munich this season, and they're up against Manchester United in the Europa League next week. That's the only possible weakness of Rostov in this game, as far as I see it. They have shown traditionally a priority of European games as opposed to domestic games, unlike a lot of clubs around Europe. So there is a chance, well, I say a chance, there's a very strong chance that they will rest at some of their first-choice players, because Tomsk don't represent the same danger as Manchester United do, obviously. However, I think the gap is still so vast that they will comfortably win this game. So I'm going to go for a 3-0 win for Rostov. Now, if the real result is 3-0, I get 3 points. If the real result is 2-0 to Rostov, I only get 1 point. And if for some bizarre reason they don't manage to beat Tomsk, then I get 0. It's as simple as that. Okay, so if you're watching this the first time, comment it below this video and we will do the rest for you. Okay, so anyhow, that's how I see the first game going. Now, one little note to mention about Rostov against Tom, you may be looking at a fixture list online which shows Tomsk as the home team. However, last week it was announced, and this has been confirmed, that the game will be in Rostov because the pitch in Tomsk, which is the furthest east club in the Premier League, is unsuitable. It's not up to standards, so they won't be playing in Tomsk. It's been moved to Rostov, so that's a great help for Rostov as well, days before playing Manchester United, to not have to travel all the way east. So anyway, comfortable win for Rostov. I cannot believe anybody is going to predict anything other than a Rostov win. So moving on, what do we have next? We have Orenburg against Arsenal Tula on on Saturday. This is a massive, massive game in the relegation battle. Arsenal and Orenburg are level on points, but Arsenal are in 15th place, so they are in the second automatic relegation place. Level on points, but they have a slightly weaker goal difference. Don't forget, of course, that goal difference is not the first deciding factor when teams are level on points in the Russian Premier League. The number of wins is the first priority. Then it is head-to-head record of all teams on the same number of points. And in the case of Orenburg and Arsenal, if we look at the table, they both have they both have 2 wins all season. But Arsenal against Orenburg, if I remember correctly, was 0-0. I may be slightly wrong there. So what that means is it then does go down to goal difference, and Orenburg have -10, Arsenal -17. Arsenal have reinforced quite well. They brought in Vladimir Gabalov. I'd say he's one of their most important signings in the winter break, an experienced goalkeeper. Ilya Maximov may be back, and it's unconfirmed if he is or not. If he is, that makes a big difference. However, Orenburg have let Alexander Prudnikov, Artyom Dyelkin, both strikers, have let them both go. Yakuba Bamba, attacking midfielder, has left as well. So their attacking options are already much lower than they were before. And bearing in mind that Orenburg in the first half of the season, only scored 11 goals in 17 games. I think this has got 0-0 written all over it. So I'm going for a draw. I'm going for 0-0. Okay, then moving on. The next game, pardon me, this is the big one. This is the Russian Football News Game of the Week. CSKA Moscow against Zenit St. Petersburg. Well, this is absolutely massive. It doesn't need much introduction as to why it is such a big game. Now, the reinforcements that clubs have made will, I think, play a very important part in this one. CSKA have firstly brought back Aaron Olaner from China. They've signed him permanently. The Nigerian striker, strong, physical guy. He scored in the spring when he was on loan here before his knee injury, but he's now recovered from that. He did take a knock in pre-season, winter warm weather training, but the CSK doctors said that it's nothing serious and he should be available. Vitinho has come back from his 2-year loan with Internacional in Brazil. So suddenly CSK have two striking options, whereas before they had, well, I'm going to say none. I don't count Lassina Traore as a striking option. He was so dreadful. Lassina Traore, his loan ended, thank God. And Victor Vasin returns from Ufa. He got a call up to the Russian national team squad, and his manager at Ufa, of course, was Viktor Goncharenko, who has now replaced Leonid Slutsky in the CSKA head hot seat. Now, Goncharenko favours a back three. We've seen him do that at Ural, we've seen him do it at Ufa, and I think he might implement it straight away with Tiska, because in pre-season training we've seen him experiment with Vasily Berezovsky, Viktor Vasin and Sergei Ignashevich all in the same defence. I think that's what we'll see. So I think they will be hard to break down, certainly in the first half. I also think it suits CSKA because they don't have many midfielders in their senior squad. They have Alexander Golovin, Alan Zagoyev, Bibras Nacho, but Roman Yeremienko, of course, was banned in the autumn for use of drugs. They have Astamir Gorjachenko. Oh my God, my pronunciation is terrible. I apologise. They have a very promising young man called Astamir. We'll leave it at that, shall we? But they don't have much to choose from. That's the point. And Zenit have brought in Hanani from Brazil. We don't know much about him. Not necessarily the most highly rated, but that's harsh to judge him already. They brought in Branislav Ivanovic, great signing. He should be playing at centre-back, but I think he'll be playing at right-back because that's where Lucescu played him in the first game. For some bizarre reason, Lucescu insists on playing Nieto, one of the most error-prone defenders I've ever seen. But anyhow, both sides have, well, certainly Zenit have a massive attacking potential, but I actually see CSKA as dangerous in attack too now that they've signed Vitinho and Olaner. So, how do we see this one going? I personally I think both teams will score. CSKA with three-man defence should over time become tighter at the back. And there's no reason why they couldn't do that. But I think Zenit are so dangerous going forward. But I think CSKA are going to win this one. I think they're going to nick it 2-1. Because they suddenly have a slight bit more optimism with the players. They've got Goncharenko back in charge. They've got a new sponsorship deal for the stadium. Financially, it all helps around the atmosphere around the club. And they're still only 3 points behind an automatic Champions League qualification place, which is where Zenit are right now. Beat Zenit, and if they beat them heavily, their head-to-head record will be favourable, and that could be absolutely critical at the end of the season. So I'm going for a 2-1 win to CSKA. Okay, well, let's move on. We have, Sunday, the Urals derby at 1:30 local time, so that's going to be an early kickoff for you UK viewers, 8:30 in the morning for you. Ural against Amkar. I will be going to this game, but interestingly enough, it's still not 100% certain exactly where the game is going to be. Tickets are being sold for the SKB Bank Arena in Yekaterinburg, but I spoke to the press officer, Nikita Medvedev, and he told me that the pitch is really bad and they don't really know why. The weather obviously, but why has it not recovered so well as perhaps in previous years? And he even mentioned that there's an outside possibility the game could be staged in Tumen, which is my hometown where I live here. Tumen, the Geolog Stadium, is an artificial pitch, and so it will certainly be available. Tumen don't start until next week, so it won't be busy. And they did, of course, host Ural for 3 games 2 years ago when the SKB Bank Arena was being redeveloped. So the possibility is there. It is the nearest capable Premier League standard stadium. But wherever it is, I will be there. Now, the teams. Eric Bikfalvi has joined Ural. I am so excited about this. The Romanian playmaker, such quality, scored twice on his debut midweek in Krasnodar to help Ural get to extra time and penalties. What an inspiration. And, of course, the added bonus, he's got a great beard too. You know, good man, Eric. Mine's better, but still, yours isn't bad. But anyhow, Amkar have lost Selikhov and Georgi Jikia to Spartak Moscow. They haven't really reinforced up front, so I don't see them being a threat. And they have conceded, interestingly, more than that. Nobody has conceded more outside the relegation places other than Rubin away from home than Amkar, despite them having such a good defence at home. I think Ural will edge this 1-0. Pardon me. I think the positivity behind Bikfalvi coming will be actually a very big difference. So I'm going for 1-0 Ural. Okay, Krylia against Lokomotiv. Lokomotiv have reinforced very well. They brought in Ari, they brought in Jefferson Farfan, they brought in Solomon Krekvelia from Rubin on loan. All very good signings. However, I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work with Krekvelia. Pejcinovic and Vedran Chorluka have made a very, very strong partnership. Why break it up? So they have made good signings, though. Krylia have lost Johan Molo and Ibrahim Salagrov. Molo in particular is a big, big loss for them. But they are under the influence of head coach Vadim Skripchenko, the turncoat, who is a very practical manager. He can get the most out of a relatively limited squad. I actually think this is going to be a low-scoring game, classic Russian Premier League thriller. And by thriller, I mean utter bore-fest. I think this one actually might be 0-0 as well. I don't really see a great deal of excitement there. But anyway, we'll see. That's just my thoughts. Next, Krasnodar Spartak, another huge game. Victor Klassen has signed. Christian Ramirez at left-back looks a cracking player for Krasnodar, but Fyodor Smolov has stayed, so great signing there. Spartak Moscow have kept... they have kept Quincy Promes, but Promes is suspended. He was sent off in the last game before the winter break, so no Quincy Promes. They have, however, got Alexander Samedov, Luis Adriano on a free from AC Milan, Jikia and Samedov, like I mentioned earlier. They have a fantastic squad, so this is going to be a very, very interesting game. Spartak lose this, and they could potentially suddenly blow the title race wide open. And I actually think Krasnodar are going to win this one. You know, they crumbled in the second half against Ural, not horrifically. They just didn't grab control of the game like they did in the first half. So I still think they have incredible attacking potential. Victor Klassen has just taken to Russian football like a duck to water. 3 goals in 3 competitive games. Smolov is still there. They've still got Wanderson, Ricardo Laborde off the bench. They've got a huge amount of attacking options. There's no reason why Spartak can't get a result, but I just have the feeling that there's actually a bit of pressure on this game, and it depends a lot, of course, on what happens on Saturday between Tsiska and Zenit. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Krasnodar win. Okay, moving on, we're running out of time here, but we have Terek Grozny against Ufa. Terek have reinforced very well. Bernard Berisha, a Russian Football News favourite, has signed. Semak at Ufa, they got through in the Russian Cup against Anji, but I think Terek are at home. I think home advantage is going to count. And again, I'm not being exciting here, but I'm going for a 1-0 win. And finally, we have Anji Makhachkala against Rubin Kazan. Anji have been an absolute joke, as we know, but they've got rid of their entire playing squad almost. 25 players left. They brought in almost the same amount. A new manager in Alexander Grigorian, who's come from the lower leagues. Rubin Kazan have been very settled. They've cleared out all of their foreigners who weren't playing. They haven't made any signings, but they already had a quality squad. So I'm actually going for an away win for Rubin, which will be vital for them. Anyhow, I'm going to go for Anji 0, Rubin Kazan 1. Thanks for watching, guys. Submit your predictions below, and guys, Best of luck. Bye-bye.